Oh, Mr. Bennett, I must remind you, Django is a free man. He cannot be treated like a slave. Within the bounds of good taste, he must be treated as an extension of myself.
Understood, Schultz. Bettina Sugar?
Yes'm.
Django isn't a slave. Django is a free man, you understand? You can't treat him like any of the other niggas around here, because he ain't like any of the other niggas around here. You got it?
You want I should treat him like white folks?
No. That's not what I said.
I wasn't even going to record nothing, man. I really wasn't, man. I got back in from Salt Lake City at like 11 at night. Had to get up at 4:30 in the morning for work. Went and worked a long 10-hour shift. Got back home at like 7. I was tired, boss. I was tired. But then I thought about it. I am that 1 in 10,000. That exceptional one that Monsieur Candy was speaking of in that film. I'm the one they can't do nothing with. It's funny how I don't even have to wait long before I'm given an example of things that I spoke about previously. I see y'all came to play ignorant, huh? Let's look at some of these comments, man. Trash. Yeah, the way that man was murdered and the lack of accountability is trash. I mean, we all saw the tape. Old dog out here showing everybody the tape. We seen it. And the more information that comes out, the more I shake my head. That's super trash. You are absolutely correct. Y'all need a father in your life, and it shows. My father's usually one of the first people to watch my videos. Hell, my father's co-workers watch my videos. But I guess you had nothing else to say, so I'll take it. Stop being a perpetual victim. You clearly have never run across this channel, have you? You know where the fuck you at? Do I even need to respond to this? This gotta be a joke. Click on any video, buddy. You'll see what this channel about. How does someone, hold on. How is someone promoting the idea of their community, policing themselves, playing victim? Do you even know what the word victim mean? Fucking A, man. Brandon Durham was the victim. He was the victim of a home invasion, the victim of assault with a deadly weapon, the victim of prejudice, and subsequently the victim of a police shooting. But I guess some way, somehow, it's his fault that he called the police for help and the police shot him 6 times. Fuck out of here, man. You fucking people are idiots. But you know what? I'm not even going to be an asshole, man. I'm not even going to be an asshole because most of you actually had something to say, all right? Let's get to those comments, you know. The color of one's skin has nothing to do with one's character. That's true. No argument there. DEI handicaps us and dumbs us down. That's incorrect. DEI, as it pertains to the workforce, it actually gives us an opportunity for jobs that we're qualified for. It incentivizes diversity in the workforce. And it's not just black people, it's women and other minorities as well. That's why I used several examples. I think the issue is, and I don't even understand why people do this, but you hear the words DEI, but what you really heard was unqualified. What job listing have you seen that stated, just be black, just be Hispanic, just be a woman, and you got the job? No, they list qualifications. Some jobs have more qualifications than others, and people who feel like they qualify for the position apply for it. Another thing is, most jobs train people to do the jobs. You start off as a novice damn near everywhere. You go through police academy. You go through fire academy. You go through apprenticeships in the trades. Well, I agree. It's not right to discriminate against other people either. DEI, that's not what DEI is. Take a good and unbiased look at what happened to South Africa as well as Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, or even Haiti. The country started to fall into disrepair and infrastructure started to collapse after removing the white Europeans. Nobody's talking about removing anyone. This is about inclusion. I need some of the good ones. I don't even want to respond to the ones where people can't express their thoughts. All right. DEI means hiring someone based upon race or gender, even if they are less qualified. The problem with DEI is that not all pools of talent are equal. Something like 90% of engineers are male. If a company decided that because of DEI, they needed to hire 50% male and 50% female engineers, there's no way that 50% female engineers would be at the same quality as the 50% male engineers simply because the pool to choose from is much smaller. Same thing with nurses, but the genders are reversed. Think about how boring the NFL would be if only 13% of players were black. If you are arguing that diverse representation makes sense in some cases, then are there cases where not having diverse representation makes sense? My town is 90% white, 10% Asian. Should we be hiring only white and Asian police and teachers? If you're claiming that in some situations only a black person can understand other black people, then wouldn't the same be true for white, Asian, and Hispanic people? I literally said that. I literally said that if I'm an officer who doesn't speak Spanish, how do I serve that community? I could have swore I said that. DEI does more harm than good. We shouldn't be putting less qualified people in important positions simply because of their race or gender. Worse is that things like DEI and affirmative action lead to resentment and backlash. Again, we're only talking about qualified people. Nobody applies for a job they're not qualified for. If a person runs a mile in 9 minutes and another person runs it in 10.5 minutes, if you choose them, are you choosing the lesser of the qualified? If they were given 16 minutes to run it, it may be that you're choosing someone who's qualified because they ran it within 16 minutes, but they also fill a void elsewhere. And I clearly said it's not just about race. It's deeper than that. One's background, although there's no box to check for it, can also be what makes an environment diverse. DEI doesn't do any favors to anyone. It destroys the concept of merit almost entirely. It makes people question whether or not the person was qualified based on their race/gender. DEI is pure discrimination against whites and Asians. Ask yourself, if there was an explicit policy stating a company was only looking for white men, would anyone have a problem with that? Well, white men wouldn't have a problem with that. Equality, not equity, is what we should be striving for. We know white men wouldn't have a problem with that because white men had no problem filling up those Hoover Dam jobs. So y'all don't even know about the Hoover Dam, huh? When you say that, you basically saying the way it was for the Hoover Dam workers. You know, it was a contract between the U.S. government and 6 companies that restricted employment in writing to only white Americans, right? Y'all know that in the first year of Hoover Dam construction, not a single black American was hired on that job. Harold Ickes changed that. He ran the interior under Roosevelt. And when he came in, it was still only 24 black workers out of a 4,000-man work crew. And let's talk about equity. Y'all know Boulder City, Nevada, a city I know very well. I did tours for many years, Hoover Dam, Grand Canyon, all of that, right? I'm very well versed on Nevada history. Boulder City, Nevada is a city that was built for the Hoover Dam workers. Well, after the Hoover Dam was complete, people started going back home. They made their money, got past that depression. Shit, I'm going back to Ohio, Illinois, Florida, wherever. Well, was no need for them to stay in Boulder City anymore. The city was built to house 5,000 workers. So what they ended up doing, they started selling homes for dirt cheap. But the thing about it is, even when the employment opened up for black and Hispanic and Native American workers at the Hoover Dam, Boulder City never opened up to them. You could only live in Boulder City if you were a white American. Let's talk about the real issue here. For the first time in U.S. history, there are policies that adversely affect white men. That's the issue. White men had no issue with discrimination whatsoever for the first 188 years of this country's existence because they benefited from it. Y'all realize there are people who are still alive that lived through segregation in this country, right? But now we need to do something about discriminatory practices. I really hope Trump fixes everything in this nation. I really hope he makes white men feel secure again. I hope he, takes on the cartels and, gets the fentanyl and every other drug off the suburban streets of America. I really do. Because I don't want anything that has happened to Black America to happen to anyone else. And look, I won't put their grandfather's sins on them. But make no mistake about it, they are laying in their grandfather's bed. Let's not act like affirmative action and DEI was pulled out of thin air. It was created to combat something. What was it combating?
You know Jerry, don't you, sugar?
Yes, Big Daddy.
Well, that's it then. You just treat him like you would Jerry.
In other words, shit was all good till they started treating others like white folk.